The Crystal Palace Gardens in Oporto can be peaceful as long as you discount the sound of peacocks and cockerels that wander around freely. The cockerel is one of Portugal's national symbols. A stylized pottery version comes from Barcelos, a town in the north of the country. The garden's name came from a pavilion that was built in 1865, inspired by the Crystal Palace in London. It survived until 1951, when it was replaced by the current domed sports pavilion nicknamed the UFO. There was a shady avenue of lime trees and plenty of places to rest. As well as the hens and peafowl, there were geese and ducks and pigeons on the ground, and I could hear birds singing in the trees. The grounds cover about 8 hectares and include several themed gardens with grottos, lakes and fountains. At the south end, they stand on the edge of a cliff above the river Douro, with several viewpoints where it is possible to look along the river both east and west. The Arabida Bridge to the west is one of the longest concrete arch bridges in the world. These are tourist boats doing the 6 bridges tour. When looking west back up the river, Porto is on the left and Vila Nova de Gaia is on the right. It is a city in its own right, and it does not have the height restriction rules of Porto. The tour boats were returning from the Arabida Bridge. In another part of the gardens, this fellow was determined to put on a full show. The gardens were included in the São celebrations with a performance by the Portuguese symphonic band in a little bandstand in the shape of an acoustic shell. In the city centre, the City Hall stands at the top of the Avenida dos Aliados and the Praça da Liberdade, with fine buildings lining both sides of the street. The hall is a relatively recent building, having only been fully completed in 1955. Standing in a square just behind the City Hall is the imposing Trinidad Church. Ceramic tiles are everywhere in Portugal, and this shop was certainly well stocked with souvenirs, not taking up much suitcase space. The Chapel of Santa Carina, also known as the Chapel of Souls, has been decorated with nearly 16,000 tiles. It is in sharp contrast with the contemporary Casa de Musica concert hall standing beside the Boavista Rotunda Park. In the centre of the park there is the monument to the heroes of the Peninsular War, which lasted from 1808 to 1814. The symbolism at the top is a lion representing the Portuguese dominating an eagle representing the French. My last visit of the day was to the amazing little Guindais Funicular running alongside the old city walls. To avoid the long queue at the bottom, I headed to the top station and got straight into a quiet car. The upper third of it runs in a tunnel, which I will largely spare you. The slope started relatively gently, but just after the midpoint passing place, it dropped away alarmingly to over 36 degrees. With the clever concertina-type mechanism, the cabin stayed completely level. The bridge design had been inspired by Gustave Eiffel of tower fame. In just 3 minutes, I was down to the lower level of the Louis I bridge.